whether it's sunny, even when it's rainy, you get to see the clouds intertwine with the mountains. Just a beautiful sight.
Chattanooga, Tennessee was home to blues singer Bessie Smith, platinum R&B artist Usher Raymond, and actor Samuel L. Jackson, as well as home to Fred Cash and Sam Gooden, who with Curtis Mayfield became R&B legends as the Imperials. Just one of Chattanooga's many attractions is the Walnut Street Bridge, which spans a half-mile across the Tennessee River and is the world's longest pedestrian bridge. It was built in 1890. While today the bridge is a big draw, it has a dark past, having been the site of a number of lynchings in the early 1900s. The most notable of those, the death of Ed Johnson, which led to the U.S. Supreme Court ruling that for the first time, the country's highest court would have the authority to overrule state court decisions. Chattanooga has the world's largest freshwater aquarium, the Tennessee Aquarium, and also Tennessee's largest shopping center, Hamilton Place Mall. It's home to Mimo's Grill, a standing tribute to what was once known as the Harlem of the South, a stretch of 9th Street, now MLK, between Mimo's and the People's Street overpass. From the 1930s through the 1960s, this was an epicenter for black music, food, and entertainment. A half-dozen clubs along this stretch gave their start to dozens of local black musicians who went on to play with Aretha, James Brown, Miles Davis, and others. Muddy Waters, Ray Charles, and Count Basie are among the dozens of stars who played gigs along the Big Nine.
All right, Chattanooga, Tennessee, man, I've visited here a bunch. I like it here a lot. I love being able to walk around like this. This bridge right here in particular is a great place to go for a walk. That's what I'm out here doing this afternoon, just chilling out on the bridge, and going to walk over to the North Shore and probably walk back later on. I love it. It's a great place to be.
Officials say 32 of Chattanooga's most dangerous criminals have been arrested.
After 4 years of secret work, the feds finally moved in and will throw the book at these defendants.
After pleading guilty to accepting a $3,000 bribe, a judge sentenced Crutchfield to 2 years of probation and 6 months of home confinement for his part in Operation Tennessee Waltz.
For all the trouble, all the bridge building we do to try and make efforts to work with the public, this doesn't just set us a step or two back. This sets us all the way back to zero in some ways.
Police say these are Chattanooga's worst criminals.
Special Agent in Charge Rick Lambert with Knoxville Division Federal Bureau of Investigation to announce the arrest of Hamilton County Sheriff Billy Long on federal charges. Sheriff Long was taken into custody by the FBI this morning. His initial appearance will be before the United States District Court at 3 o'clock p.m. Did Mayor Ramsey and Chief Branham, who are here with me to my left. They have assured me that the residents, citizens of Hamilton County will continue to receive the same professional law enforcement support and protection of the citizens that we have enjoyed in the past with federal, state, and local agencies, especially the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department. Sheriff Long was apprehended by the FBI this morning, and he's being charged with federal extortion charges pursuant to the Hobbs Act on multiple occasions for bribery and extorting money from other individuals. He's also being charged with federal money laundering charges and also a federal firearms violation by furnishing a weapon to a known convicted felon.
In 2008, in Hamilton County, Sheriff Billy Long was arrested for bribery, money laundering, and providing a gun to a felon. He was arrested on a Saturday and resigned that Wednesday, citing his legal troubles.
This from Rico. Now, I didn't count it. He gave it to me in 2 stacks. It was 21 in 1 stack. I got that, and that's supposed to be $2,000. So you wanna count it to make sure. Okay. I put it in here.
I trust you, but let me just count it.
Oh no, it's business.
Let me show you something. I got you present here, a Christmas present.
I put it in my Bible, so won't nobody.
Now it's loaded, ready to go. Okay.
Oh.
So,
oh.
You didn't get that from me, bro.
Oh.
I don't know nothing about it.
Sure. Listen, The reason I didn't get the chaplain's job is because of that felony, you know it.
That's right.
And if you put your on the line for me, this gonna stay right here to protect this. It ain't going nowhere, and I ain't gonna do nothing with it to hurt you.
Okay, brother.
Now, it's dope money, so you know it might be all over the place.
Oh yeah, it is all over the place. I can tell you right. Thanks.
Yeah, I get me this a cute little baby here.
Yeah. And it's loaded. Be ready. Don't be. You know, when you pull the trigger, it'll pop your.
I ain't playing.
I ain't playing either. We ain't playing, Reverend.
Okay,
sir.
What you are seeing here is a community-wide effort to eradicate violent crime and dangerous drug offenders. This is a show of the commitment that these agencies have.
Police say these are Chattanooga's worst criminals, accused of being major players in the local drug trade.
Out of those 28 people, they are related indictments charging conspiracies to distribute 5 kilograms or more of cocaine, 10 ounces or more of crack cocaine.
After 4 years of secret work, the feds finally moved in and will throw the book at these defendants.
It will depend on each person's criminal history, but it's at least 10 years to life if convicted as charged.
This investigation targeted not only drugs being distributed in the Chattanooga area, but the violence associated with it.
Some of the major players swept up in this operation, 35-year-old LaGermany Brown. He's been booked before for attempted murder, selling or delivering cocaine, and possession of cocaine and marijuana. Other so-called big fish include 30-year-old Frank White, 49-year-old Kenneth Hopkins, 41-year-old Jerry Wayne Alexander, and 21-year-old Jamoki Johnson Jr. Their past charges range from cocaine possession and aggravated assault to unlawful possession of a weapon.
Sentencing is stronger, and then you're going to do 85% of that as well. So we're hoping the immediate impact of those 32 people coming off the street is going to be amazing to the safety of Chattanooga.
Chief Dodd says only more indictments and arrests will come.
It's a follow-through. I mean, it's one of the first steps that we're taking in tying this in with the High Point Initiative.
Even though the investigation began years before Mayor Andy Burke even announced a run for mayor, he is connecting the bus to his version of the crime-fighting plan called the High Point Initiative.
I think you'll see as you look at the individuals, this has been targeted and making sure that we send a message that the violence has to stop.
This is really an important day in our fight against violence in the community. As I've said for months, our streets are too dangerous, and today is the next step as we try to change the way Chattanoogans face public safety.
This call is from a federal prison. This call is being recorded and is subject to monitoring.
You say what evidence they have against me on this case? Man, they had nothing against me.
We traveled to Chattanooga's east side to interview Tiffany Toney, wife of Gerald Toney, one of the 32 men picked up and labeled as the worst of the worst.
My name is Tiffany Toney, and I'm speaking on behalf of Gerald Toney. Gerald Toney is my husband. Based on the paperwork, the evidence that I have in my possession, the only evidence that they had against Gerald Toney was a couple of conversations that was talking about food that the informant translated into drugs.
Only thing they got against me is being a real friend, that's all. The guy who they wanted, I was his best friend, and they wanted him and thought I was gonna fold and tell on him. So when I ain't tell on him, they hit me. And I got more time than he did for not telling.
From their perspective, they were saying ultimately the hopes was to crack down on violence in Chattanooga. Worse, some of these accused dealers, major players in direct violence, no.
Phone call, the call that's incriminated to me, I asked that man for some disastrous chicken. and they said I was ordering a brick or half a brick from him by ordering some Zaxby's chicken. That's on the phone call. They even linked me to anything with him. Ordering some chicken over the phone. They use the word chicken as brick.
The lightest sentence handed out was 10 months, ranging up to, I think the longest sentence so far handed out was 12 years. Still hard time.
I want to look at the number 57 months, but since I called a state case back in 2000, well, I played out for it in 2004. They kind of tricked me. I thought I played out for 9 years probation, but it was 3 consecutive threes. So they made that 3 separate violent charges, and that would career me. Because it's supposed to be a call between my co-defendant and his so-called source in Atlanta. And it went over 32 days, but let them tell it was a misprint. But it was a misprint that was in our paperwork at least 15, 16 times. But let them tell it was a misprint. They went back and said that it was good. So with that, what they said, they used that compensation to basically get the conspiracy for 5 keys.
With the wiretap from my husband's lawyer, he said the wiretap, they said that it was legal, and I'm like, how can it be legal and it was 32 days? Well, they said it was legal, and it's going on up higher than federal court, so when they do come back down, if they decide to throw it out, then they'll bring them back in court and they'll be reviewed again.
Yeah, when I went back down and said, forget it, I'm going to take it to trial, my first lawyer dropped off my case because I wouldn't tell, and I said take it to trial. So they gave me another lawyer, which he really didn't do that, but wanted me to cop anyway. So I felt like I was a losing battle.
But he wasn't helpful at all anyway.
And they kept coming to me, telling me if I tell anything about my co-defendant and his so-called source in Atlanta, they'll make sure I do 18 months. 18 months I would have been home if I would have told. But me not telling, I got 128 months.
But they said that these men were dealing to street-level gangs, and that just perpetuated violence, and from day one they said that they were gonna, I guess, quote, throw the book at these guys, saying that they could face anywhere from 10 years to life in prison.
My co-defendant, the head of my conspiracy, got 120. I got 8 more than him. The second co-defendant, which is his brother, got 5 years, 60 months, and all of them was convicted federal felons. And here I am.
This call is from a federal prison.
And here I am, just ain't never been to the penitentiary, been on probation, and get more time than everybody.
We caught up with Chattanooga artist Maul the Pimp and director Charles Robinson on the set of a music video being filmed titled 32, which describes the roundup in details from a music perspective.
What up, y'all? It's your boy Charles, checking in Chattanooga once again. Sitting there with Maul the Pimp. Like it happened today. Got them underground videos going on, man. The ones that's riskful.
We're doing a 32 video today, man. You feel me? So we gotta keep this low key. 32 video. This is my newest single, 32. It's about the 32-man FBI federal roundup that they did down here back in November 2013. You know, so when this shit hit, it's gonna be real controversial, real big. 32 is gonna be real classic right here, man. 32-man fed roundup that they did. We're gonna cover all grounds on that and expose some shit that really need to be said right here. 100 type shit, you hear me? Yeah. Alright, so right now we're just preparing this camera, man. Got some nice glass on here, steady cam. Picked this location out, man, because I just like the griminess of this situation. A lot of Chattanooga has a lot of industrial feel to it anyway, you know. I don't know. I need to do some more research about Chattanooga's history. I'm just interested in stuff like that. Why are some of these businesses out of business, you know what I mean? Like, what did this used to be? You know, shit just kind of interests me. Some Johnny on the spot shit, bro. Driving around, I like this type of industrial look. We just talked about that a couple moments ago, so, you know, this wasn't planned. Just saw it while we were driving by, and I think it'd be a nice shot.
Just want to shine a little light on the situation, man. This whole situation is based off true events that's going on in the city. You know what I mean? A couple guys got caught up in a roundup, and then they just labeled as the worst of the worst 32. You know what I'm saying? Which I think is wrong. It's defamation of the character. I don't understand how men set them apart up to feed his fam or whatnot. You label us the worst of the worst, put them all on the front page and or whatnot. I don't respect that. But that's just how it is in Chattanooga, Tennessee, man. Live on the video shoot 32.
My name's Melidia Kluel. I work for the Hamilton County District Attorney. I spent 24 years as a journalist, and at the time of the 32 roundup, I was actually working in local media.
I think the thing that stuck out to people the most was the label that was thrown out, worst of the worst, and that didn't really sit well.
There's no way in the world that those 32 young men are the worst of the worst.
He called these people the worst of the worst.
It makes me so upset because they labeled them as the worst of the worst, and a lot of those guys were not the worst of the worst.
Some of them were my students, and a lot of the others I've known on the streets who come over to Howard Games, support us, and support the kids.
You would expect, or I would expect, that if the worst of the worst had been taken off the streets, that crime rate is going to immediately go down. That these are going to be people who are murderers and assaulters and armed robbers.
Since they've been gone, a lot of people have died. Women, babies, grown-up, or elderly people, and that's the worst of the worst. So I don't even know why they even named them the worst of the worst.
I began to pull up the court cases for all of these folks, and none of these names seemed familiar to me.
People in leadership positions, whether it was the U.S. Attorney's Office or police or the mayor, they wanted to set an example, I guess.
So we went to the mayor, we asked him, what makes these guys worst of the worst? We didn't get an answer. Because obviously, there is no answer. Because these guys aren't the worst of the worst.
The first time I saw that and heard that label, it was on the front page of the Times Free Press, and I'm looking at the paper like, he's not the worst of the worst. He just graduated. He had just went to East Ridge. He didn't graduate from Howard, but he went to East Ridge. And when I'm looking at him like, these are the worst of the worst? Who said this?
These are guys who have traffic violations. These are guys who are charged with driving on revoked license, or a failure to yield, or tail light out, personal use marijuana. These were not guys who, for the most part, who had extensive violent histories.
You trying to tell me out of 32 people, no good you seen out of any of them. And I just don't see it, because the ones that was picked up, they weren't no killers.
Those young men are young men. They may have had a hustle. They may have done this or that. They may have been whatever. But there's no way that they're the worst of the worst. I think the worst of the worst statement was calling them the worst of the worst.
They call them 32 the worst of the worst. But what's the worst is how their families were hurt. The sheriff gave them that work. It's still drugs in the city, that's real. But they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger than them.
We figured it was going to be a bigger story because we received a press release from the U.S. Attorney's Office saying they had a big announcement about a case they had been working on.
I had a couple of sources in local law enforcement who told me something huge was about to happen. They would not provide specific details, but they made it out to be something truly impactful in the community.
I was actually in New York when I first heard about it, and I didn't understand what it was, but I did know that it was something that was going on with the narcotics department.
We finally got word that there would be a press conference, and I had a couple of sources tell me that everyone who was anyone would be at this press conference. So we were braced for something huge to be announced.
So all the local media went down to their office, and that's when they announced that they had busted these 30-plus men in this case for distributing crack cocaine.
Those are young black men who need another chance.
So we found out who these 32 men were. We wanted to look into their criminal histories, and so there were multiple stories that followed, and of course we've been keeping track of these cases to see what happens in the legal system and the courts.
The first step with that, though, was to go through the list and pull mugshots. And so I'd gotten through 6 or 9 of those photos, and they were all black. So I got through 12 or 18. They were still all black. Got to 24, all black. And I'm thinking, what, are there no white folks who are worst of the worst? So we pulled all 32, and it was all black faces, and they were faces that were not familiar to crime reporters in terms of folks who had been driving violence.
And I think that for whatever media outlet to line their papers up, line their pictures up, and line their names up and label them, I think that's the worst thing that could have happened in this community, and I wholeheartedly disagree with it.
And as far as what I thought, I mean, I figured it had to be a big deal for them to, to get our attention about it and to want us to cover it, to show what they've been doing on that case, on the cases.
Martin Luther King, do you have a dream type of situations, man? I guess it's hard to have a dream while you're in Chattanooga.
It's fucked up, and Chattanooga is fucked up because it's too much politics. It's too much politics and
police will shut your ass down. I don't know. It seems like a lot of innocent people won't going to jail, or it kind of seemed like double jeopardy, man. People going back to jail for something they did, 3 or 4 years ago.
The entire sentencing structure, both the state of Tennessee and the federal government, they're deplorable.
Me, myself, I never had a dope charge, never got caught in the dope, never even had anybody to point a finger at me about drugs. But now I'm in here for the big drug experience, who's been Chattanooga worst of the worst, about a charge I caught back in 2000, but played out in 2004. So, and to that time, I never been to jail.
Cause ooh, the wide inside the days is where the milk that. What? Yeah, ooh, the wide inside the days is where the milk that. Ain't none of them not called a Fed case of milk at all. But Brian Slayton doing time like a real nigga.
We're at location 2 right now, man. You know what I'm saying? We just did the first little thing. And then we're at location 2. We're on 9th Street, MLK Boulevard. So what we're going to do, we're going to film right here in front of the Martin Luther King emblem right here on the side of the barber shop. You know what I'm saying? Trying to do a different look. I think that's more of a positive type feel. You know what I'm saying? Lighten it up with that right there. Feel this is a 32 video shoot, man. The whole point of this song is to kind of bring to the light the corruption and the unjust things that happen with this 32-man federal roundup. That's what we're looking for right here. Man, you know what I'm talking about? Just follow us and just pay attention to what we're doing, man. Yeah.
That was one of the largest groups that I had seen caught up in a case like this. You could tell, I guess, investigators have been doing legwork for a while when you're, tracking down 30 plus people accused of being in a drug distributing ring.
There were 2 guys on that list, I don't remember their names, but there were 2 guys who had no prior records. Nothing. No sheet, no rap sheet. It was blank. Not even a traffic ticket. So how could anyone say that someone who had no prior criminal history is the worst of the worst?
They call them 32 the worst of the worst. But what's the worst is how their families were hurt. The sheriff gave them that work. There's still drugs in the city, that's real. But they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger than them.
Long pleaded guilty and received 14 years in prison. A 10-month investigation resulted in charges of extortion, money laundering, and drug trafficking and left Long's department demoralized.
Any law enforcement officer, be it federal, state, or local, puts his desire for money above his sworn duty to protect and to serve. We all suffer.
Billy Long won't see a reduction in his 11-year federal prison sentence. An appeals court upheld the sentence after Long requested another reduction. The former sheriff pleaded guilty to extortion, money laundering, providing a firearm to a felon, and cocaine possession in 2008. Unless Long decides to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, he'll be released from prison in 2019.
They call them 32 the worst.
You gotta get the facts though. I'm playing it off, y'all, but I'm getting the facts.
Get all the stuff. They see we ain't friends.
Man, what? There's a little more nigga chatting in these streets with the facts. Oh, he gonna take a picture of me.
Your police on the scene.
You see this shit? He just out here trying to shoot a little video. That's how they do though. Facts. Lil Mo got the facts, nigga. They do not want us to shoot this video. You seen it firsthand.
Rain and then the holy show.
Talk to him, dog, on the slick. Yeah, this how we do it.
Yeah, man, as you can see, the devil is working as well. You know, we out here trying to send a positive message and raise, you know, awareness to the unjust actions of the system. And all of a sudden it started raining, and then we got cops pulling up, man. You know, the devil working at all times, but no weapon formed against us shall prosper. You hear me, my nigga? DUB, live 32. Hey man, I want to give a shout out, man, to all the individuals who got jammed up in the little roundup, who went in, you know, played the chess game with the folks, took their time, got on down, starting the process of coming back home. You know what I'm saying? Much love to every nigga who stood tall on that shit. For the rest of them niggas, man, who get in there, telling this, telling that, putting niggas behind bars for life because of something that you couldn't take, fuck y'all.
It is one of the bigger cases that I've seen. I think that they were just making a real effort to try to curb that trickle-down effect that they called it to violence. And were these large amounts of drugs being dealt, being pushed? Not really. I mean, we're talking ounces, but still, it's a federal crime.
A career offender, you gotta have, for drug charge, you gotta have at least three violence or drug cases. By me having 3 separate charges, robbery charges, which really I played out the one, but since I only had 3 separate, they hit me with 3 separate. That would enhance my Fed case. So I went from 57 months to 128.
Well, my husband, Gerald Tony, the only past background that he had on his record was 10 years ago. He pleaded guilty to several robbery charges on the same day. And based on the law for the federal inmates, you cannot charge each individual charge per point. It's supposed to be 1 point per charge. 1 point period when he pleaded guilty at the same time. But they used his background 10 years ago to convict him and give him 10 years, and he hadn't been in any trouble prior to 10 years ago.
And you got guys on my case that copped out for half a bricks and 5 bricks and more. And I got more time for not telling.
Ex-Hamilton County Sheriff Billy Long will spend less time in prison. Judge Sandy Matisse has reduced Long's sentence to the minimum punishment allowed. Long pleaded guilty in 2008 to extorting local businesses, money laundering, and providing a firearm to a felon. Now, a full 15 months early, Long could be transferred to a local halfway house by the end of the summer.
But then you have, like the guy you mentioned, Long. You have him to abuse power and take that power and use that to abuse authority. I can't justify that. I'm not judging that, but I would have to condemn anyone who takes their authority and uses it to abuse and injure human beings. Period.
You got the sheriff dealing drugs, and I almost got the same time he actually got caught for extortion and dealing drugs. I didn't get caught for that. I got caught by being a friend. Basically, I got 10 and a half years for being a friend.
When you hold one individual to one standard and hold another to another standard based on the color of their skin, based on how much money they have to pay a good lawyer, or based on the resources that they have or who their friends are in this community, that happens all the time, and there's never going to be a justification for it. Never.
There are well-connected, powerful people in this community who are at least in part responsible for sending drugs, bringing drugs into Chattanooga.
When they picked my husband up after the indictment, they offered him a plea for 18 months if he told on his co-defendant, which also is his friend. So they did do a lot of things together, but nothing like what they said that they done. And when they offered him 18 months, he looked at them and they said, if you tell us what we need to know, we'll give you 18 months and we ain't even got to go downtown. And Gerald Tony looked at them, looked at the feds and told them, well, okay, I'll tell you something. We like ride motorcycles, we go out of town, we go to concerts, we club, we barbecue, we kick it. And they was so upset with him that they drove him straight down to the county, hit all kind of bombs, people hitting his head, all kind of stuff. That's how mad they was. And then to give him 10 years, it's like you really mad because he didn't testify and he didn't have anything to give you, so you got upset with him and gave him 10 years because he didn't have any evidence to give you.
I just want to say that, I think this system is real fucked up. And hopefully with Obama leaving and this new laws he's trying to go, they kind of straighten it out, because this conspiracy, this ghost dope is pitiful.
Alright, so right now, getting everything locked and loaded. We over here in an undisclosed location. Y'all about to find out though real quick. And we just gotta raw dog this situation, man. Like, we about to do some things that ain't, they ain't right, but they need to be done.
We're in motherfucking Boone Height right now. That's what we finna do. Let me tell y'all what's going on. They about to shut Boone Height down, right? It's fenced off and shit, so we're finna have to hop the fence. No permit, and get in here and knock it out like that, you know what I'm saying? We need that little raw gangster gutter look, and that's the best raw gangster gutter look it is in the city right now. But they got the motherfucker fenced off, you feel me? But we still need to get in there.
The feds only hit the hood, I don't respect that. Why? Cause who the wide inside the days is where the milk at. What? Yeah, who the wide inside the days is where the milk at. Ain't none of them not called a fed case of milk at all. But Brian Slayton doing time like a real nigga. My blood cousin for the victim of the fed system. It hurt our family to see the way the feds did him. All he did was keep it real, that's why the feds did him. They call him 32, the worst of the worst. But what's the worst is how they families were hurt. The sheriff gave him that work. There's still drugs in the city, that's real. But they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger.
We were also able to sit down with Rosa Jama. Her son, Frank White, was also included in the roundup.
Other so-called big fish include 30-year-old Frank White.
Mainly what they had against Frank was the fact that he sold an ounce to his allegedly best friend.
An inmate at a federal prison. This call is being recorded and is subject to monitoring. Hang up to decline the call or to accept. Dial 5 now.
They call us the worst of the worst. But come on, man. Now the murder rate in the city at its all-time peak.
The first time that I ever saw that label and heard that term applied to these gentlemen was on the front page of the paper.
Man, they locked us up, labeled me a gang member. I ain't even no gang banger on me. They put all these names and shit. They just did a lot of shit that they couldn't substantiate, and it's fucked up that they do it. But this the world we living in. I'm like,
and I would know now that the system is not working for us. Saying that my child gonna come home, it's not for my benefit. No, it's to let him cop out to this now.
I never met with the DEA or the district attorney. The district attorney email my lawyer. My lawyer come see me, be like, this what the DA offer. If you gonna take the charge right now, do what they gonna give you. And I was like, once he came with them 5 years, and he said they want 851. Use the 851. The 851 is the anthem for your prize, right? But they used it anyway. So you know what I'm saying. So really, it was a lose-lose situation. So, but I just took the shit, man. By me being blind to the fact that it really wasn't no conspiracy, I probably could have waited them out like 2 years.
But the larger problem is the one President Obama is now trying to address. Those people who just have sentences that cannot be justified by their length compared to what they did.
What they do, they put you in Bradley County. They keep you locked up in the motherfucking cell for like 24 hours a day. And they do this so much that it gets you to the point where, like, man, you know what, fuck this shit, man. Whatever they come with, man, I'm saying, so I can get the fuck to the pigs, I can go and work out, go and do what the fuck I need to do.
He was told from the start that if he had cooperated and, of course, told on whoever, that he would have walked away with 60 months.
I had a partner of mine, man. One of my partners, he got fucked up, man. To be real about this shit. The nigga got fucked up, and he wore a while on me, you feel me? Yeah, he wore a while on me 2 times, nigga name. You probably know the nigga. It ain't no sense of that got on. It ain't no sense of just not putting the nigga name out there. Well, see, this was my partner, though. This was my lifelong partner.
Because he refused to cooperate, and he walked away with 128 months.
They promised us this 5 years when we signed in. The Fed play dirty, man. The state ain't like that, man. If they say you gonna get something in the state and you sign it, that's what you gonna get. Man, them bitches promised us 5 years, man, and aired us out, man.
This call is from a federal prison.
Most of these people are in prison under state law, but the federal law set a trend. And that was overdone. We were wrong about that. That percentage of it, we were wrong about.
You ain't getting it from them, that mean it's bigger than him. Billy Long sold all the bricks, yeah he did it. Slap on the wrist at his trial when it's time for the sentence. Throwing the bricks, turn the grams and disperse through the city. They wanna offer 10 to life to the niggas that get it. Wow, they won't expose how the fuck it began. They own the planes and the boats that be floating shit in. They own the boats and the planes, man, they fly that shit in. They put it in our neighborhood and set us up for the pen. They wanna say it ain't a setup, but just look at the facts. You can throw in 2 indictments, everybody was black. A lot of families was hurting from them homeless you stacked. There's gonna be people dead and gone by the time they get back. All this corruption in the system causing nothing but problems. Taking fathers from their kids so the streets can adopt. Then profile them on the news as the worst of the worst. Well, how the fuck they get the dope? Billy Long had it first, and he the sheriff. They call him 32, the worst of the worst. But what's the worst is how their families were hurt. The sheriff gave them that work. There's still drugs in the city, that's real. But they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger than them. They call them 32, the worst of the worst. But what's the worst is how their families were hurt. The sheriff gave them that work. There's still drugs in the city, that's real. But they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger than them. Big Sheriff from the west side, my homie OG, and Tommy Gun, yeah, look Tommy.
You feel me?
Alright, so we're in the middle of this Boone Heights. I got a big problem with this sign I seen over here, man, cause I don't know how old these projects are, but it's roped off because it says asbestos, warning. It's been fucking years that asbestos is known to have cancerous causing agents within it for insulation. So why the fuck people still was living in there for who knows how fucking long? You know what I mean? Without them remodeling it. Maybe that's why they tearing them down because of that, or maybe maybe it's something we don't know. Maybe it's been a lot of fucking people with lung cancer and shit coming from here that didn't smoke because they got, cancer from asbestos. So maybe they was forced to close this shit down. But how many people had to get sick before that shit happened? You know what I mean? Them people were fully aware that it was asbestos in this shit when it was, made, but I don't know, man. This shit is some real shit, yo. And you can see right here, if you look at the front of these doors, they all got, plastic on them. It's a hazard alert. I'm assuming asbestos also because it's roped off with the same red tape. So how many people had cancer from just living up in this motherfucker, yo? It makes you wonder a lot of things.
Damn.
It's 29 motherfuckers. Me and G got more time than everybody. The head of the conspiracy and everything. And the thing about that is this: you don't supposed to get no head, no. You don't supposed the leadership role of the case. He supposed to get the most time out of everybody. How the fuck we get more time than everybody and we at the bottom of the conspiracy?
How can you have somebody like Frank that get caught with 1 ounce and he walks away with 10 years and 8 months versus somebody that literally had enough to supply the whole Chattanooga and they walk away with less than 8 years? It's bad.
Those young men deserve opportunities when they get out to come back to a community that will embrace them, provide opportunities for them to get whatever GED.
Yeah, I was in school. I was getting my GED. I had already got the GED.
Job training.
I was going for trucking. I was going to go to drive trucks.
And then place them in jobs despite their background.
don't charge me with some conspiracy with some niggas that I ain't even in the conspiracy with, that I barely even know. You feel me? Just because you say we on the phone call talk, it ain't no crime to talk to no motherfucker on no phone. You can't say that we was talking about drugs.
Did they do injury or harm to the community by whatever dope dealing or whatever was happening? Yes. Have they served their time? Enough of it? Yes. Do we believe that people can still be human beings and live in this society with everyone else? Yes. It's not up to us to judge them. We have court of law for that. It's up to us to bring them back into this community.
The people who are in positions of authority or power have to be willing to do the work instead of just talk about it as a political football. They've got to step up and say, this is my community too.
Man, I was just really focused on me and my family, man, and bringing this music back to the city, opening up a little spot where not only I can record, but the children that live fortunate, they can bust out there and record, just give them something to look forward to, man.
What most people know Frank for is his music, is, you know, not speaking as his mother or #1 fan, but I would honestly say he had a good career in the music, entertainment business.
No, I shook it, man. I love my city. If it wasn't my city, I wouldn't be the man I am today, because, you know.
He was able to go and put on a show and bring people together, and there was no violence or fighting, and you didn't hear of no shooting. So I was proud of the fact that he was able to bring the city together in a sense that a lot of people couldn't.
Man, them folks, well, they love me to death, like, and I couldn't do no wrong. They stood up for me, man. That's all I ever wanted. They stood up for me, man. They stood up for me like I had a rubber deal.
Oh, my son would have been a took off. I mean, I definitely think he would have taken off. I mean, and he had positive things going with the music business.
I gave these little children something to live for in the city, you hear me? Like, I gave these children something to dream from, man. They seem like, I don't do it, so we can step up, we can do it. They done took that away from them. Now they ain't got nothing but a whole bunch of pistols and a whole bunch of killing. And then I think they knew that. I think that if they knew if they killed their head, that everything else up under this shit just gonna crumble.
I think that between the U.S. Attorney's Office and city officials, including the prior chief of police, they made it very clear that this was a big deal and that they wanted to make an example out of these gentlemen.
Personally, his charges wouldn't have affected him. They offered him 5 years from the start, but that was providing that he copped out to phone conversations with other people.
They did me like this. They offered me 5 years just so they can get my signature. But once I signed, they hit me with the career offender. They come back with this, and that doubled the 5, you know what I'm saying? That took me up to 128 months. Me and Dre was at the bottom of the conspiracy, but how the fuck we get the most out of all goddamn 32?
The bad news is we had a lot of people who were essentially locked up who were minor actors for way too long.
When they sentenced him, they didn't go on what he was, the ounce that he was charged for. They went back and charged him for the 2 prior felonies and counted them separate. He was a father, he was a provider, you know. For someone that lost his father at an early age, he stepped up. I got
3 little boys, 2 girls. All my children gonna be able to walk the face of their earth and know that their dad stood up a real stand-up nigga. They ain't gonna never have to worry about me taking their legacy or nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's not, I just want to say, big shout out to my city, man. I love y'all, man.
On the east side right now, man. We in Bone Height. We wrapping up this is the last scene for the 32 video, you hear me? You know what I'm saying? I picked this location actually, you feel me? I wanted a real gutter look, and I thought this is probably as hood as it get out here. You know what I'm saying? I fuck with a lot of Bone Height niggas, you know what I'm saying, on the east side, you know, so I think this is a way to kind of salute their project, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, you know. I'm showing love to my cousin too, man, you know what I'm talking about? My cousin Brian Slayton, you hear me? He doing 30 years fed. Took 30 like a man and never did shit or till. You know what I'm talking about? We hope we get that appeal back so we can see him real soon, you know what I'm saying? So this 32 is just bigger than the 32 men that got picked up, you know what I'm saying? We really trying to paint a picture here. And I think this whole little background, this whole little setup is just kind of played in perfectly what we was trying to do. We got to get the fuck out of here before the police come, you know what I'm saying? But you know, I think this is some real shit what we was trying to do out here, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's gonna be a nice little turnout when we put it together, make it do what it do. So salute the Boone Heights, man. Salute to the east side, man. I like this here. This probably gonna be the last time you see somebody out here with some cameras before they tear this motherfucker down. So remember this shit. You hear me? Yeah. Signing off on that there. 32.
WDEF News Show's Alicia Searle has the latest in our top local story.
This is 32 of Chattanooga's most dangerous criminals.
And now they're off the streets along with guns and at least $125,000 worth of cocaine.
The Chattanooga area is going to see a significant increase in the quality of life.
This investigation started in 2009 and has since involved local, state, and federal agencies.
They call them 32, the worst of the worst. But what's the worst is how their families were hurt. The sheriff gave them that work. There's still drugs in the city, that's real. But they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger than them. They call them 32, the worst of the worst. But what's the worst is how their families were hurt. The sheriff gave them that work. There's still drugs in the city, that's real. But they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger than them. A 4-year investigation from the ground up. They claim the worst of the worst is who they round up. Them gang bangers selling dope and they be crime committing. 32 niggas get indicted in the inner city. Every race be breaking laws and shit you can't ignore. But in my city, only blacks will be arrested for it. Yeah, in my city, only blacks will be arrested for it. This Chattanooga, y'all, the KKK just left a marching. The feds only hit the hood, I don't respect that. Cause Uda Wad inside the days is where the meth at. Yeah, Uda Wad inside the days is where the meth at. Ain't none of them not called a fed case of meth at all. But Brian Slayton doing time like a real nigga. My blood cousin, but a victim of the fed system. It hurt our family to see the way the feds did him. All he did was keep it real, that's why the feds did him. They call him 32, the worst of the worst. But what's the worst is how their families were hurt. The sheriff gave them that work. There's still drugs in the city, that's real. But they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger than them. They call them 32, the worst of the worst. But what's the worst is how their families were hurt. The sheriff gave them that work. There's still drugs in the city, that's real. But they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger than them.
Long pleaded guilty and received 14 years in prison. A 10-month investigation resulted in charges of extortion, money laundering, and drug trafficking and left Long's department demoralized.
Any law enforcement officer, be it federal, state, or local, puts his desire for money above his sworn duty to protect and to serve. We all suffer.
Sheriff Billy Long sold all the bricks, yeah he did it. Slap on the wrist at his trial when it's time for the sentence. But when the bricks turn to grams and disperse through the city, they wanna offer 10 to life to the niggas that get it. Wow, they won't expose how the fuck it began. They own the planes and the boats that be floating shit in. They own the boats and the planes, man, they fly that shit in. They put it in our neighborhood and set us up for the pen. They wanna say it ain't a setup, but just look at the facts. You get 32 indictments, everybody was black. A lot of families was hurting from them homeless you stacked. There's gonna be people dead and gone by the time they get back. All this corruption in the system causing nothing but problems. Taking fathers from their kids so the streets can adopt. Then profile them on the news as the worst of the worst. Well, how the fuck they get the dope? Billy Long had it first, and he the sheriff. They call him 32, the worst of the worst. But what's the worst is how their families were hurt. The sheriff gave them that work. There's still drugs in the city, that's real. But they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger than them. They call them 32, the worst of the worst. But what's the worst is how their families were hurt. The sheriff gave them that work. There's still drugs in the city, that's real. But they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger than them. Sheriff from the west side, my homie OG. And Tommy Gun, yeah, Lil Tommy, can't forget LT. I miss Big Milo from the south side, he was loyal to me. And free Lil Frank White, we need his music back on the street. Until the ones awaiting trial, I'm gonna keep praying for y'all. Look to the sky and keep your faith and wait for blessings to fall. When the system is corrupted and no justice exists, only God can see you through in situations like this. They hit my cousin in the system, he been gone for some years. Solid soldier to the bone, I hope he get that appeal. Here's the 30 like a man never did shed a tear. It's called links and jail business till my nigga get here. They give you life just like it's 10 years, they hand the shit out. Been in the game over 10 years, man, it's time to get out. Get railroaded off in court and leave your family hurt. Then one judge and 12 jurors be your worst of the worst. You hear me?
"19 minutes after the hour, 2 o'clock, in studio guest. This is the dude, man. This cat's been putting it down for a minute. Let me first now go ahead and apologize. I had to go do a little something. Missed the video premiere and the whole nine, but from what I understand, everything is cool.
Yeah,
Mr.
it's all
Home,
good,
the
man.
pimp up in here. What up, man?
What's going on, man? What's going on here? I appreciate you for having me, bro.
Oh, dude, you know how it is in here. You know how it is in here. So you are working 32. Trente dos for all of my Spanish-speaking people. Tell us about it, man.
Yeah, you know, man. Yeah, man. You know, man. 32 came out last Friday, you know, so I had a release party at KG's Lounge. Shout out to KG.
Yeah.
Appreciate everybody who came out to the release party. You know, it went really well. It was accepted really well, you know what I mean? And that's really what I was most concerned about, you know what I'm saying? I appreciated that. So, you know, it's been jumping off the shelf in the stores, which means, you know, people are starting to get the message and pay attention. That's another good thing, you know. So I'm here today to talk about it,
So
man.
you said selling out. Selling out.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
And you're also making some other serious moves. A lot of people across the country trying to get this thing out. And you've been discussing it with some other people as far as trying to get it out. What's going on with that?
Right, you know, nothing's guaranteed, but I got my fingers crossed. I'm discussing some things with some people out of California right now in the Bay Area. You know, we're going to see if we could possibly get it distributed. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's just something we're going to see what's going on. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah. So if people want to get it, I mean, have they restocked it in the stores yet? Or
Yeah, man. Right now, it's at the Cancun's on Brainerd Road. You can get it out there. Right there, right across from the dollar store in O'Reilly's, and you can also go to the Fast Stop on Wilcox. Y'all know Sam over there. Shout out to Sam. You know what I'm saying. And you can get it from the Fast Stop on Wilcox. So those are the two locations right now. Or you can go online, PayPal.com. You get it, PayPal.com. MallThePimp@yahoo.com is the email, and we can do it that way too.
And not trying to give out a spoiler or anything, but just the gist of what's happening in the video.
This was going on. A lot of y'all remember the 32-man federal roundup that they did down here a few years ago, November 2013. And the guys were labeled as the worst of the worst and profiled like that for months on the news. And a lot of people from the community, including myself, you know, didn't really agree with that. You know, and also, you know, with it trying, if the whole purpose of trying to take drugs off the street, if that's really the purpose, you know, you got to target everybody, not just a black race, you know what I mean? Right. You know, drugs is a thing that every race does, not just a black race. So you get 32 men that was all black, that makes us think that they were racially profiled. You get what I'm saying? So between the racial profile and the defamation of character, you know, a lot of people from the community spoke on that, had been speaking on it, but it just so happened I'm an artist, I'm in the limelight, so when I speak, it gets heard. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and that's the reason, that's where the uproar is coming from, because everybody agrees with what's going on. They know the truth behind the story, and they understand the reason for it being put out there. It's something that needs to be spoke on, it's something that needs to be documented. You know what I mean?
Right, and the media picked up on it real big too. So the TV channels and everybody.
Yeah. And I was kind of surprised, but at the same time I wasn't. I was really expecting it to be something that kind of just, you know, buzz in the streets or whatever. I really didn't expect it to carry over to the media to where they would actually reach out. You know
that
what I mean?
means you're hitting on something for real.
Right. So that's a different thing right there, and that's a good thing because the whole point, the whole reason behind the Eagles meet, I wanted the message to get out there. You know what I mean? That's really what I wanted to get out there. So the more people who call, the more people who are interested, lets me know that they're really hearing what's going on. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying?
Exactly. We were just talking off mic about some upcoming shows. When the next time people can come out and support you, see you, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna be selling that too when you're out there doing some shows, right?
Oh yeah, man. Listen, y'all need to mark this date. Y'all need to mark 2 dates down. Let me tell you this: the first date is November 24th. That's my birthday, man. That's next Tuesday. Y'all need to mark that down, man. That's my All the Pimp birthday next Tuesday, and my birthday present to myself, November 29th. November 29th, you can catch me at Rock the Mic Rock the Mic
Jay
Sunday,
Fever.
November 29th, hosted by my dog Jay Fever. Shout out to Jay Fever, Mr. Bring It.
Jay
hosted
Fever.
by Jay Fever. Myself and Smoke Dog will be performing live at the Choo Choo.
What Smoke? He couldn't come down as
Smoke Dog on the genre, and then he's doing his second hustle. He cutting hair.
Hey, well, make that money. What up, Smoke?
Y'all remember that too? Smoke Dog cutting hair. Go over there and get right. Smoke these and Fred Nero, my brother.
So the 29th, and what time was in the new Revelry Room? That's inside.
The Revelry Room inside of the Chattanooga Choo Choo. It's a nice little room that they got fixed up.
Nice spot.
You know what I mean? So y'all come out and check that out. You know it's gonna be something real nice, and y'all not gonna want to miss that. This is gonna be the first official performance since the 32 release.
Oh,
really, y'all gonna definitely want to see this.
All right. So you'll be selling that too, as well?
Yes, of course. The 32 will be available. Of course, you know, $5. You can't beat it. You know. Loose change, you know what I'm saying? You know, we're just trying to make sure we get it out there the right way. So you can catch me personally, you can go online, or you can go in the stores we just named. Fast Stop on Wilcox or Cancun's on Brandon Road.
There it is.
Yeah.
Hey, congratulations, man. Keep hustling. That's one thing about you, dude. You will not stop grinding.
Man, it's in me, man. You know what I'm saying? Just I was built like that, man. You know, I can't stop, and I love to do it. So you know, it's just like it's nothing.
There it is. 32 in stores right now. Maul the Pimp. Appreciate you, homie.
Appreciate you having me, man.
In 2008, after a 10-month investigation, Hamilton County Sheriff Billy Long was arrested on federal charges ranging from drug trafficking and money laundering to extortion. The arrest of Sheriff Long exposed major corruption among law enforcement in Hamilton County. This was only the beginning of a timeline of events that followed. FBI began a second investigation in 2009 in an attempt to supposedly take drugs and guns off the streets of Chattanooga by targeting who they assumed to be the so-called major players. 4 years later, in November 2013, 32 men in Tennessee and Georgia were indicted on federal drugs and weapons charges. The 32 men indicted were profiled for months to come as the worst of the worst, which many thought was racial profiling and defamation of character. With a crime rate of 74 per 1,000 residents, Chattanooga has one of the highest crime rates in America, compared to all communities of all sizes, from the smallest towns to the very largest cities. Within Tennessee, more than 97% of the communities have a lower crime rate than Chattanooga. Violent offenses tracked included rape, murder, and non-negligent manslaughter, armed robbery, and aggravated assault, including assault with a deadly weapon.
As a people, we have to come together, and as a community, we have to love each other, respect each other, protect each other.
For this to work, for us all to really tackle this head on, we're all going to have to put our egos aside, and we're all going to have to say, here I am, how can I help? What can I do? And I don't know that any one person has the answer to that. We just all have to be willing to keep trying until we find it.
But what I would like to see is true rehabilitation. And I think what needs to happen in a community like this, those young men need true re-entry opportunities. And that means when they come out, they've served their time, they've done whatever the law said they had to do, whatever years or whatever penalties they've had to face. But when they come back, is the community going to welcome them, or will they still be carrying a label, oh, you're one of the worst of the worst? That's the worst thing that could happen to them, because what that says is this community, this society doesn't care about you. We're going to give you a label and keep you in a label and keep you in a box.
Black people have to be willing to let white folks into their community and work together, and white folks have to be willing to go.
We should not be killing each other wholesale, period. Value life.
I think that change will come when everyone is ready for change.
To the worst of the worst, but what's the worst is how their families were hurt. The sheriff gave them that work. It's still drugs in the city, that's real, but they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger than them. They call them 32, the worst of the worst, but what's the worst is how their families were hurt. The sheriff gave them that work. It's still drugs in the city, that's real, but they in jail, so you ain't getting it from them. That means it's bigger than them. A 4-year investigation from the ground up. They they claim the worst of the worst is who they round up. Them gang bangers selling dope and they be crime committing. 32 niggas get indicted in the inner city. Every race be breaking laws and shit you can't ignore. But in my city, only blacks will be arrested for it. What? Yeah, in my city, only blacks will be arrested for it. Why? This Chattanooga, y'all, the KKK just left a marching. Yeah. The feds only hit the hood, I don't respect that. Why? Cause Oodawad inside the days is where the milk at. What? Yeah, Oodawad inside the days is where the milk at. Ain't none of them not called a fed case of